Oh, I tell you we want church.
Oh, you know what? Welcome to another segment of KISS. Keep it simple, sir. Keep it simple, senorita, senora. Keep it simple, sir, in thanks of God. We thank you once again to come into your home, and your bedroom, your living room, or wherever you may be at this time. Maybe on your telephone, in the store watching us. We're glad you tuned in once again to KISS, meaning keep it simple, sir. We have a great production for you today. Today the subject will be aftercare caretakers. And we have two beautiful ladies with us on our show today. And they come to talk to us a little bit about caretaking. They have been former caretakers themselves. A lot of times we look after those that are cared for, but very seldom there are attention for the caretakers. Right now I'm going to let them introduce themselves, praise God, starting with Miss Marcella Wm Norton Ashe, and then we will go to Miss Karen McAfee. In your own way, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here today.
Hello, and thank you for having me here. And I would like to give honor to God, who is the head of my life. And my name is Marcella Ashe. I'm an author, and I have cared for my mom. So this is why I'm here today. Hopefully I can embrace you with something that will help you in your journey, or a journey that you already have been on.
Praise God. And also Miss Karen McAfee.
Hello, I'm Karen McAfee. I started my caregiving journey in 2006 with my grandmother, and then progressed to taking care of my mother until October 2021.
Praise God. As interesting as it is, and always because we try to find some scriptural, although that's nothing that we may have to lock in on, but just for the sake of it, the only scripture I will come up today is the 2 Corinthians 3b and the 4th verse of the first chapter of 2 Corinthians. And reading, it says, God of all comfort, who comfort us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble, by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. That's 2 Corinthians 3b and the 4th verse. Sometimes we have to know things to be able to help others and have the loving understanding of what love is. Number one, the scriptures say God is love, and he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. So to know love is to give love. And I know when it comes to caretaking, it has to be some type of love connection. To love the person, love God that created that person, praise God. And the thing is, only thing about there is stress behind the giver. Now I hate to mention this, but a lot of times some of us know. Sometimes the caregiver pass into the other side before the person they are caring for. That is how stressful. Most people do not understand how stressful this can be. We had another professional gentleman that had car trouble today. He may or may not make it today, but we thank God for the two of you who are able to be here to have a personal experience with what it takes to be a caregiver. The pros, the cons, the ups, the downs. And also knowing Marcella has been here before, and she has a book, When Love Called My Name. Is that the way I got it, Marcella?
Love locked in when strong called my name.
Love locked in when strong called my name. There love is again. When it calls you to be strong to help someone. I mean, goodness, to be a caretaker is not only a mental, but it's a physical type of stress. Only too seldom do we have individuals that can counsel or help the caregiver. So that's why we're here today. Talk a little bit more about the aftercare for the caregiver and how it affects the life of the caregiver. Some of those things affect the life of their financially, sometimes it affects them psychologically, physically, because of the lifting and the tugging and the things that involved in caretaking. I did not want to do all the talking today because you guys were caretakers. I'd like to hear something for you and those at home as well. What is it like caretaking? And I know a lot of times when you're dealing with a family member, sometimes that's extra stress. Because I understand family members demand more out of their loved one than if they had a professional caretaker from the outside for some reason. Is that true? They take for granted the attitudes and the voice and all of that. Because sometimes I feel the family caretakers go through a little bit more stress than the professional caretakers.
It's because it's so personal. Like I was taking care. Well, my mother and I took care of my grandmother. She had a stroke in '06, and she passed away in 2009. And we took care of her because we were told that she couldn't live by herself anymore. And she was a very strong-willed and independent woman, and she refused to move to our house, so we moved in with her and took care of her. And then after she passed, my mother's health started to decline. So then I was living with my mom, and I took care of her. And it is very different when you're taking care of a loved one. That it's very personal, so you have to mentally prepare yourself to distance yourself or you wouldn't be able to do it. It's hard watching your loved one as they decline and things change and they're no longer able to do things that they were accustomed to doing, and they get frustrated. My mother got frustrated, and of course she took it out on me, which I've heard that's common. Mm-hmm. You're taking care of your parents. Mm-hmm. They take their frustration out on whoever is closest to them. So if one of their children is taking care of them, they take out their frustrations on them. I could ask her to do something and say, Mom, we need to do this, or you need to eat this, or do that, and she would always question me. I did have help with home health care aides and Day City Hospice. Now, if those workers were in and they asked her, Miss Vivian, you need to take your medicine, she'd say, okay. And she'd smile and okay, and they're like, oh, she's so sweet. Yes. Your mom is so cute. Yes. And I'd be like, yeah, you don't live with her, but yeah. And I could ask her the same thing, and she'd fuss at me. Why? Why do I have to take this? Why do I have to do this now? Why can't I do that? And I want to go here, I want to do that. And I'm like, Mom, we can't do that right now. So that was the frustrating part.
Yes.
Wasn't frustrated with her personally, but the situation, circumstance, it became very frustrating.
Oh yes, yes. So that's a lot of psychological things that a loved one in caretaking does.
Yes.
That's a lot of taken for granted, you might say, because you are there and you're supposed to understand. In other words, you're supposed to have that extra level of love and understanding, or let me do what I need to do. Or, as you say in a parent, I'm your mother, or I'm your father. You listen to me.
Right, I got that too. It's like, I'm your mother, you don't tell me what to do. It's like, okay, Mom, but you have to, we're gonna do this, okay?
Yes. So when you're carrying that love there for that loved one, it causes a little bit more stress on you trying to hold your peace. Mm-hmm. You're trying to be mannerable or honorable to your parent, and respectful, I guess we always say, even though sometimes you feel sometimes indifferent. So that's a lot of stress goes on, whether it's a few weeks, a few months, or a few years. Mm-hmm. And I think that also has something that it interrupts your personal lives. It interrupts if you're working, or that interrupts that. It interrupts your going out and your activities that you may go because you're sort of locked in. That goes back to love locked in, isn't it? Praise God. I think about sometimes even when I had a pet, and that was an animal. And when we had the pet and we want to go out of town, who's going to take care of the dog? Who are we going to leave it with? Or we going to a kennel? It's just so much. Don't let me do all the talking. You guys, I brought you in here.
I wanted to jump in, but you were talking.
Yes, I got to.
I like to say, yes, it's a journey, and I really believe in helping those that are really wanting to know about this journey. that God has placed a lot of us in this walk way before we knew it, because he knows everything. And as a little girl, I would take care of the man next door that was a drunk. And nobody wanted to be bothered with him, but he loved the care that I was giving him. He rewarded me with candy, and he looked forward to seeing me. So I felt like God had put this in me from a little girl to care for somebody. My mom used to carry me, it's in my book, to the grocery store. I would take stuff out of our cart and throw it in the people's cart going by, making sure they had something in their cart as well. But to where we're talking about and caring for, your story parallels mine, because my mother was a caregiver. I would take her to the nursing facility to visit with her nephew, my cousin. I would go with her when she was taking care of her twin sister that had a stroke. I helped her with her mom. So my mom and I, we interacted at caregiving facilities, far as taking care of other people. And like you were saying, when you take care of a mother, you switch roles. Now you become the mother and she becomes a child in a way with the caring process. But you still don't want to strip that mother of her independence. You got to keep that barrier there. You got to have boundaries where you say, okay, you're independent enough to say what you want, what you don't want. Even though I know that what you want is not really what you need. But my brother would tell me, give mom some candy. Why not let her have this candy? She's 88 years old. Why take that from her if that's what she wants? And I made that boundary where, okay, you can have candy when he bring candy. And she become possessive of that candy. She wanted that candy regardless to what I said, because my brother said it was hers. Like your caregiver, I'm gonna be good with the brother, but I'm gonna get you for not letting me have what he brought me. So I still say, when I wrote my book, I wrote it during the time I was caring for her. I went back and rewrote it for the time after. And those empty seats that that are missing at our table, they are seats that you never become completed after those seats are gone, because you still feel in your heart, this is just not home, because this person, even though in there needing us, I always said, I didn't take care of my mom, I served her. I served her. And those are words I want to put into people that are dealing with their family. You're serving your family. You're not taking care of them. You owe them that, I feel, that care. And in caring for my mom and all the people she cared about, the Lord embraced me with perfect peace when each one of them left the seat.
Yes. Yes, and as I said, there's such an interruption of your life before your loved one gets sick or you fall caretaker. No one knows who will or not be sick in this life or who would go first. And I know also in your book, thank you for allowing me to write a little bit about spousal caretaking. Because there's so many areas of caretaking that until you get there, you never have that experience. This is one of those things, everybody have the first. And that's why I say even marriage take a special vow, because when you say in health, in sickness and health, and everybody doesn't take their vows serious, but those are God-given vows. Because you don't know whether the husband gets sick first or the wife gets sick first, but are you willing? Are you willing to be the one for that person, regardless of who it is that may get sick? So, and most times the person gets sick is the one you least expect. But are you willing? Are you ready for the trip? Are you ready for the journey?
And are you able to respond to that responsibility? Now, her and I, life journey has paralleled. I'm surprised because I've known her, I've seen her, but I didn't know she did so much like me. But my father also had an aneurysm, hematoma in his head before. My mother dated him like he was her boyfriend, and I just watched him. And like I said, my mom, the way she cared for other people, it just went on down. She gave me the baton, because a lot of times, even though you love your loved ones, everybody's not fit for it. And I had to learn that an orange slice don't fit with the apple slices all the time. And you think because you come from the same tree, everybody would pitch in and be like you. And I really had to struggle with, where's my help? My mom helped everybody. Why is it on me? Why am I selected as the one that would do this? Not that I mind, because I was glad to serve her, but it's just that when you need some help, I didn't have home care like you did. Everything was me. And my husband, he helped. But, you know, and then my brothers, they would come and do what they could do, but they're males. And the old-fashioned women, they don't believe in having male handle them. They have a certain amount of respect for themselves, where they just want, I want my daughter. I don't want my son. You know, even though I got $5, $2, $3, you're only gonna find one. I found this to be true. You may find one, and you may find two sisters that really join together to do this. But in my case, I really just had to do it, you know. And that's when I said, you know what I'm doing beyond where I ever thought I would do. And I've helped other people get through, but love had to lock in. Love had to lock in, because Strong was calling my name, just my name. I didn't hear anybody else. I just heard Marcella. You need to do this. You need to come aboard, and you need to put on your big hat and do what you need to do for your mom. And she relied on me to do that. I would dress her up like she would have probably dressed me up. I made sure she had pretty clothes. I love clothes. I made sure she looked pretty. I spent money, her money, because Daddy left her independently, okay. So I used her money to take care of her and to make sure she looked well when she go out. And she loved that, because she liked to dress as well. So we had
My mother is like that.
Yeah, so her hats, and I tried to make sure she had the hats that she liked, go to church, and she was so independent, you know. And that, when you got an independent parent, you got to set boundaries that you and them both can walk in, and everybody can be comfortable.
It's very much a trial and error thing too.
Yes.
Because my mother was very independent, and when she was able to go out, I would help her, but I decided, in watching and everything, that it was best to allow her to do as much as she possibly could, because my mom was a social butterfly. She was out active in the community, active with her sorority, with church and everything. So as it became harder and harder for her to be active, then she wanted to give up, and I wouldn't let her.
No.
We would fuss about it. She's like, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I just saw you do that.
Yes.
You did this yesterday. So we had those discussions. And I'm an only child, so I didn't have brothers and sisters. There are other family members in the city, but we weren't close like that. So it wasn't like they were around. People would call from time to time or come over from time to time, but most of the heavy lifting was on me. Or when something crazy happened, it was most of the times in the middle of the night and there's nobody there. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And my mom's decided, an example, she's decided she wants to get up and go to the bathroom. Well, she had Parkinson's, so she was not as strong. And she had the tremors and her balance was off. And to help me to rest, because I didn't sleep for years, not really, I got a baby monitor.
Yes.
So I could hear her, and I'd hear her moving around. And I'd listen. I didn't jump up and run every time she moved, but I just listened till I got attuned to what sounds meant what.
Yeah.
And then I hear her hit the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I run down the steps. Most of the time I could get her up myself, but that's what you're talking about, the physical part of it.
Right.
I'm getting her up and getting her back in the bed, making sure she's comfortable, clean, and all of that, and settled. excuse me, then I go back and lay down. But it was like sleeping with one eye open.
Yeah, and what you just
one
said,
ear open.
we had a system put in our home. We have floors too, we have 3 flights of steps, and we had a camera put in our home. So we put it in my mom's room, and Mom liked to get up and sit in a chair because his wife sit in a chair, and she slept in a chair. So Mom wanted to do what she did. So she'd tell me, I want to sleep, and I want to sleep in a chair. I said, no, Mother, you need to lay down. So I said, there's a camera on you. She didn't believe me at first. So I didn't mean to scare her, but she got out to bed one night. I said, Mother, get back in the bed. She looked around, where is this coming from? You know, where is this coming from? So I said, get back in the bed, and you should have seen her jump and run and get back in that bed. Like you, I monitor her. I know what she could do and what she couldn't do. You have to become teacher, you have to become a instructor, and I was like human resource because I'm gonna be, my family say I'm bossy, and I am bossy, but I'm a little OCD, and I like to have everything in order. So Mom liked my bossy. For some reason, she liked my bossy, and she'll say, oh, Marcella, and she'll tell people on the phone, my daughter want me to do this. You know, so I knew then that she didn't mind, but to somebody on the outside, they probably say, well, why is she talking to her like this? Or why is she doing this? But Mom knew what was happening. She knew
you
what
have to be very firm with them, and somebody on the outside looking in might think that you're being mean or disrespectful or too hard, but I take it we both had strong-willed mothers.
Yes.
So you can't be like, Mommy, please do this. That doesn't work, because they'll just walk right over you. You have to be very firm when you're saying things to them. And you know, she would get mad, but I was like, okay, I can take that. And sometimes she could be mean when she would say certain things. And I take it, then to preserve my mental health. When it's like, okay, I can't take it anymore, I make sure she was settled, and then I'd go upstairs in my room and cry.
Now, I didn't do the cry thing, but guess what? My mother would carry me there like yours, and we parallel so much, I did not know that. She would carry me there, and after I did my chores, and Mom did her not what she's supposed to do, I'm not going to even talk about it. She did what she's not supposed to do, and my husband would say, okay, Marcella, I would get in my truck, and he would let me take a ride. Every day after I cleaned up, maybe for the 3rd time, and I'm really exhausted now. So he said, Marcella, go. So I would get in my truck, and I go and give myself a little me time, and then I come back. But I hate the fact that you have to trick them to make them. And people got to understand you have to do this, because I would tell her, Mom, I have no maid. The maid is here, and you done messed up again. And see, she's tired of cleaning up behind you. Well, where is she? I said, she's over there in the other room. I'll become a big liar because I'm trying to get her. She don't care if it's me. Right. But if it's you, I'm gonna do better. So you have to use that psychology, you know. And I mean, I hate to have to do it. I told my husband over and over, I hate telling her this, but the only way I'm gonna get her to respond to what I need her to do, she need to hear someone else is listening to her beside me. And she would do it. If I told her someone was over there or someone was in the other room, she would immediately act right. And see, my mother was a teacher.
Mine was too.
Oh gosh.
Yes, she was a teacher.
So my mother was able to conform to manipulative actions.
Yeah.
Conform to changes. So we're on a battlefield of an intellect. Where are you still smarter than me, or am I stepping up to being smart enough to make you do what I need you to do? And those are things that when you got smart moms, you have to work that way.
And you have to really think about, okay, now if I tell her this way, she's gonna balk. So I gotta be creative and almost you gotta make them think that was really their idea in the first place to do whatever it is.
Absolutely.
She would just, it was like, Mom, we need to change your gown. She didn't feel like it. And I would try, but when the more combative she became, I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go make a cup of tea. Do you want some tea? I'm gonna go make a cup of tea, okay? You want some tea? What else do you want? I just flip and go in another direction because I could feel myself getting frustrated. Sometimes, I'll admit, sometimes I raise my voice at her because I would get so frustrated. It's like the only way she would listen is if I would raise her voice at her. And then she says, "Why are you yelling at me?" I'm like, "Mom," she had loss of hearing in both ears, so I had to raise my voice anyway. But she also had selective hearing.
Yes.
She would act like she couldn't hear, but a lot of times she would hear. Yes, and it's like, Mom, you're doing that selective hearing and selective amnesia stuff.
Well, did you give her jobs? You give her chores?
Not really.
I did. I let Mom fold towels. I give her a big stack of towels, and I said, "Okay, this is your chore for today." She liked it. She said, "I fold all the towels."
I think my mom, I didn't know, my mom was spoiled. I didn't know how spoiled she was until I started taking care of her. I was like, oh my gosh. It's like, oh, my dad caught the blues. She was just
That's
spoiled.
what I said too. I said that.
I was like, I admit, an only child, I'm spoiled. But being a brat, that was not tolerated in my home. My parents and my grandparents, they didn't tolerate that. I mean, I never wanted for anything. She didn't either. But my mom, she would have little tantrums at times. It's like, what is wrong with her? And then, if an aide or a nurse was there, they'd laugh at us. They'd go, "You two are so cute together." And I know there's steam coming out of my ears. And my mom would look up and say, "Do you see how she's treating me? Do you see what she's saying to me?" I'm like, I didn't. And then I said, "Okay, Mom, who is here in the middle of the night when you have an accident and, she's wearing the pull-ups and I got to, just like a baby, I got to change the diaper. I got to do all of that."
Yes.
And I know she's a proud woman, so I know that was humbling for her. But it's humbling for me to have to do that for my mom. Yeah. But I did, and it was like, and then she got to the point where she started feeling guilty. "Oh, I'm ruining your life. You're too young to be doing this. You should be out doing that." And I just had to, I said, "Mom, I'm doing what the word told us to do. We are to honor our parents. And this is what God told me to do. I told her, this is my assignment now. You are my assignment. You are my job. What I'm doing is honoring my parent. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. It's like, I get out when I can, but I'm not going anywhere, and you're not either. I'm not, she said, "Well, just put me in a nursing home. Put me in a facility." It's like, "No, Mom, I'm not putting you in one of those places."
Yes.
The only way that would happen is if I absolutely cannot care for you. I'm not going to do that. And even the nurses, they were like, "Well, what about putting her in for respite care? You look so tired." I said, "Yeah, I am tired, but I'm not putting her in there," especially when we had the COVID and all of that.
And they were just doing everything.
I was like, I'm not putting her in a place where I can't monitor her care. Because she had been in before for rehab after being in the hospital. Then they put her in a facility for rehab to build her strength back up. Well, in those places, somebody has to have eyes on the person on a daily basis. And with COVID, you can't come in and see them. You can't even come in the building. I was like, there is no way I'm doing that. And I refused.
But you had help. You did have help. I didn't have caretakers coming in helping me. It was one-on-one me the whole 5 years that I took care of my mom. And she also died in 2021.
Okay.
And my mom, I think we were supposed to talk about how we felt afterwards.
I was headed there.
But anyway, we were leading you to the journey of getting there, I guess. And my mom, she was a lot like your mom, and she was a sweet lady. My mom was a sweet lady, but I was like you. I was on a journey. I didn't know this about my mom. You let me see something different. I thought this of you because, then she said, "Well, you were always traveling. You always were out of town." But no, I wasn't. I took you and Dad to the bank when Dad had his aneurysm every first of the month. Then she remembered everything's selective to fit how I want to feel. But then when you want to, you're the best daughter.
Yes. Yes. Or she wouldn't necessarily say it to me. She'd be on the phone with one of her friends. Oh, I don't know what I would do without Karen. She takes such good care of me. And she won't let anybody come in here, and she watches the house and everything. She said, you know, she's telling her friends all this stuff about, oh, she's the best daughter. She takes such good care of me. She bathes me, and she changes my clothes, and she fixes my food. And all of this stuff, she says that to them, and I'm sitting there listening like, okay, thank you. But when, you know, like 5 minutes ago,
you were different.
You were raising hell with me about some simple little thing like take your medicine, you know? Or it's like, Mom, you need to eat because you got these meds, pain pills and stuff like that. So you need to have something on your stomach. I don't want anything. So I had to get creative. I kept ice cream because if she wouldn't eat, she would take a milkshake. And then we had Glucerna.
And
so
put it in there.
I put the Glucerna, use Glucerna instead of milk.
Smart. You have to be smart.
So she's getting the nutrients as well. I had to do that. But near the end, she didn't want that either. So that was so frustrating. It's a helpless feeling.
You know, I was thinking about the self-esteem. And often you want to build the esteem because they go through a period of low self-esteem, although it may tear you down. And it's the same thing in Marcia's relationship. I could identify, I know you were your mother's, but with a wife, a lot of times they sort of feel pitiful. I can't do anything. I'm not worth anything anymore. I can't do nothing for you. I can't do nothing for myself. And if they've been a busy person, that type of self-esteem weighs heavy. And if you love a person, it bothers you. Now, this is the point I'm coming to. I know you all understand the particulars in caretaking. But what I want to focus even more on, the aftercare.
Okay.
That period you go through, always wondering, could I have done something different? That you constantly beat yourself up sometimes, not always, but when you hear little things, well, if I had done this, would things have worked out a little different? Could I have done a little bit more, even though you know you've done everything possibly that you could do? Mine's a little different, but similar to you as well. Because my wife would say, I hate for you spending so much money for my medicine. We can't afford those type of things. Now what I'm focusing on, how does that affect us now? We're talking about aftercare. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of programs that I know of out there that offer aftercare. Now, it's a little different in the military. I often said, when a guy come off the battlefield, they need some type of re-entry program to bring them back into civilian life. You're in the battlefield one day fighting a war, the next week you are back home in civilian life. Now, similar to that, how about now your loved one is gone? There's an empty chair. That which you have dedicated yourself to for several years of just taking care of them, sacrificing, you're going out, the things that you would do, that you would like to do, sacrifice all of those things, both financially, physically, and psychologically. Now what? Where are we? Or there's times that we kick ourselves, God, if I had done it a little bit different.
Well, the transition of losing not just a parent, of losing anyone, sets some kind of relaxed feeling and also a guilt feeling. And I don't know how I can express this, they combine themselves. With my mom, I kept asking myself, well, like I wanted to give her baths and I didn't have anyone to help me put her in the tub. So I had to literally wash her from her head all the way down to her feet with a towel at the sink. But she got this every day. And I just was so hurt that I couldn't find anybody out of all the people she had helped to come over and help me just sit her in the tub so I could give her a warm bath. I told my husband many times, I feel so bad. But then after she passed, I started finding all these programs where people would come to your home and help you. And I'm thinking when I reached out to all these people, they made me go through literally a bunch of applications, a bunch of things I need to go through. That's why I wrote the book, to try to help some people find some of these places that I found afterwards, because unlike you, well, my mom, she's more stubborn than your mom in this area. She did not want to go to a hospital. My mom fell during the time I was keeping her because she said she was ready to go back to her house because she had her own home. So I let her go back because that was her request. When she got there, my brother brought some fish over with some ice and stuff, and she was on the roller walker, which I later took her off the roller walker and put her on the manual one. And when she went to bend over to pick up something from the fridge, the roller rolled from under her and she fell. Well, I thought, okay, I'm released from taking care of Mom. She's back on her feet. And then I go to her house one Sunday. She's on the floor, can't even come to the door. And she done crawled from the kitchen to her bedroom and couldn't get in her bed. That was devastating. Took her to the hospital, make sure she's okay. They released her back to my house. So you're not going back home again because you're not gonna be able to take care of yourself. So I took this response, and I just wanna say, when you got a spouse that says it's okay to bring your mom or your dad or your brother or sister or whoever to your home, thank God for those men too. Thank God for those women that say it's okay. Because you could be in a situation where you could have a doorstopper where people would say, no, I don't want to deal with that. Because everybody's heart not like yours. But when you can entwine with someone else's feelings for what you have to go through, that's a blessing. So I just want to say kudos to my husband for helping me. But in real, what you're saying about afterwards, the after effects of losing someone, that empty seat that you know won't leave you alone, because you're still wanting that person to be there, even though you know they can't be there. You're thinking, if I had done this, maybe if I had done that, maybe they'll still be here. I thought, why did I have paramedics come in and check her after I knew she was already dead, and they pushing down on her body after she had required, she didn't want to be resuscitated in her will. I felt so bad. That's the one thing that really eat at me, is why did I let them do this? But then when the funeral home said I had to call paramedics before they would take her body, they made the decision to resuscitate her. And my mind is, I'm losing my mom. I've lost my mom. I'm not thinking about the things that you need to think about. Now in my mind, why didn't you let me go and wash my mom? I kept my mom presentation perfect all while she lived. Now at the end of her life, I can't even wash her, comb her hair, put her on a nice gown, and have her leave out of this house presentable. That hurts me more than anything in losing my mom.
What can we do about this, whether we're here? In the post situation, we are here now. All of these things that happened, even understanding, as you had said earlier, we are designed or by order from the beginning that God has something for us to do. That is our calling. And just from a child, things worked in your life, like I said so many times, things that happened in my life as a young person in communication, here I am today. Even though all of these things are your destiny, all of these things ahead of time is destined for you to be that caretaker. But yet in aftercare, what can we do? I know here we're talking now, and I know that's good therapy, because most people don't get a chance to talk and get it out, to share some of the things you're sharing. What do you think in additional? Or go ahead, you're about to share something.
Well, our journeys were a little bit different. When I started learning about what to do, taking care of my grandmother with my mother's help. It was my mother's mother. We did that together.
Yes.
And that's when I found out about Area Agency on Aging.
I called Area Agency.
Senior Resource Connection. So I had both of them, both of those agencies. They each do different things. So that covered some gaps. And then we had a nurse practitioner that came in, because I was taking my mom out of the house was so hard, because I got to get her, she was using a walker, we didn't have a ramp, so I got to get her out the house, down off the porch and into the car and all that. It was just, exhausting. So I found a nurse practitioner, doctor that came to the
I
house.
didn't get that.
And she suggested hospice, but at first I was like, huh? She said, no, this is what people automatically, when they hear the word hospice, they think death and dying. They think it's cancer or Alzheimer's or some kind of horrible, debilitating thing. And that's not always the case. Hospice is there to help. Your loved one had, like my mother had Parkinson's or Parkinsonism. So that falls under those illness. It's a chronic, long-term illness. There is no cure for it, and the person declines. So that is something that hospice can help you with. And they come in, so I didn't have to worry about, like, so I'm not calling ambulances every time something crazy happens. I call them 24/7. You call them, and then they can come in and evaluate and determine, do they need more care? Do they need to go to the hospital? I was fortunate, I was blessed. She never had to go to the hospital once they were on board. And for me, you know, people tell me about what I did. I couldn't have done what I did without God. It was not, I was not humanly possible for me to have done what I did for those years without the help of God. And I just had to train myself. You had to mentally train yourself before you're in that crisis moment. You have to train yourself where to go mentally.
That's
when
what
the
I said, love
crisis
locked
comes.
in when strong call your name.
Yeah.
Now, ladies, let me tell you, I know we're getting to the end of the production. And I know even now you focus more on the patient that you're taking care of. But if I must give you a little bit more focus of what I want to see before we close out. Michael Jackson wrote a song, The Man in the Mirror. The person you cared for, that is passé. That is past. Now, the person, the woman, me, myself as a man, although I lost my spouse, we are in that mirror right now. The aftercare. What can be, and I know God, we being Christian women and men, that we trust in our faith in God through prayer to get through a lot of the situation. We talked about the situation, we talked about how they affect us, but today, if for one moment now, we can go past what happened, the care that we did, how can we now in post be rejuvenated, revived, or somehow try to get back on track, or what you feel is needed that would help us to get back on track. Now, I mentioned about the military guys. They come off the battlefield. There is nothing yet. We try to fight for years. Post-stress, the syndrome.
PTSD, yeah.
Yes, but now, as an individual, what has, or what you feel it takes to help someone to get back.
Well, me, I don't know about Karen, but me,
Woman in the mirror, individual.
I saw the woman, and I when I was taking care of my mother, I looked in the mirror and I didn't see anybody because I was so busy. So now that I do see that person, what I did was pour into other people that either had sickness, lost a loved one, a birthday. I started making baskets for people and just giving them to them because it made me feel better just to give and to pour out into someone, to see them happy, to know what hurt is, to know what losing someone is, to help someone feel better about their loss. It made me feel better, and God embraced me with his perfect peace by me doing so, by me pouring into other people's lives with baskets. I put books in baskets. I just gave them away. Until one day one of my friends said, Marcella, those baskets are just gorgeous that you're making. You ought to sell them. They're too nice to just give away. And I said, well, you know, I'm just learning to love doing this. And my girlfriend took a basket and she came back. She said, I sold that basket for $70. Girl, you could start making money off of your baskets. So I started selling them, but I still make them, and in making them for people, I ask them, well, what do you like? And I try to put what does she like? And I try to make what they like. And I put a book in there. I always add one of my books in the baskets. And people have really just they just received that so well until I haven't had time to grieve.
Okay, so that's a part of healing for you.
Yes.
You're using that thing to sort of get back on track, and even it carries you to another level of understanding.
Yes.
And it brought something out of you now that you're able to share with others.
Yes.
And even now, you to testify to somebody that may be going through the same, and there's so much going on in our country today. What we're talking about, this post-stress, we're talking about this pandemic, all of these things, are thousands and thousands of people dying daily across the country. So this is how you come back. Come on, how is some things you feel like is bringing you back on board?
Well, what I did, because I spent so much time, I put myself on the shelf. And I spent so much time taking care of my mom. That was what I was focused on. It was hard to get to that point, but once I got to that point, that's what I did. And now what I'm doing is, it might seem selfish, but I'm doing what I want to do. And most of the time I don't want to do much of anything, so I don't.
Yeah.
Now initially when she first died, the morning that she died, I came downstairs and I leaned down, and she was at that point, she was in kind of a comatose state. She couldn't speak, but I was holding her hand, and when I was talking to her, she moved. I knew she heard me, and I said, "Good morning, Mommy, I love you," and she kind of moved, and I knew that she heard me. And then I went and I prayed. I was like, Lord, I said, I can't deal with this anymore like this. And it says, it's not so much about me, it's about her. I can't stand seeing her suffering like this. So Father God, please, whatever your will is, either come and get her now or heal her completely. Whatever your will, help me to accept your will. Well, the hospice nurse was there. She had been there. This was like that Tuesday morning. They had been at my house since Saturday, around the clock. I wasn't really resting, but I could go lay down and not have to be in the room with her. And I went upstairs, and I felt kind of at peace, and then the nurse called me. She said, "We'll watch her. Don't worry about anything. You just rest however you can." And my dog was with me. My dog split. I have a little miniature dachshund. So he split his time between me and my mom. He would go down. He had started going down in the middle of the night, getting on the bed with her, taking care of her. Then he'd come and check on me. So when the nurse came and got me, I knew that she was gone. And I felt like this weight was lifted off of me. I cried because I missed my mom. It was bittersweet.
Yes.
I posted on Facebook, I said, this is a bittersweet moment. It's bitter because I miss my mom, but it's sweet because she's no longer suffering and dealing with the cares and the pains of this life. She's in a better place.
Yes.
And I felt good. And I went out dancing.
Did you?
I mean, that was through the time while I was doing that, dancing, urban ballroom dancing and Chicago style stepping. My group is Dayton Urban Ballroom Group. You meet at Princeton Park. I'm going to give this shameless plug. Princeton Park, Tuesdays from 6 to 8 p.m. It's $3. All levels, beginners, intermediate, advanced. Come out, we have a great time. And that was my way of getting, because it's only a few blocks away from home. I had the medic alert, so she pushes the button, she can talk into the medallion, so I'm not too far. That gave me that outlet. And I got my hug therapy. That's why I had to go in, and everybody's real friendly, and everybody hugs everybody. That was my outlet. So when she died on that Tuesday, and I think, I don't know, Thursday or Friday, I went out dancing. I did that a couple of times, and then I stopped. I haven't been to dance class. I haven't been dancing because I just don't
Want to?
I don't want to. I am allowing, grief is a process.
Yes, it is.
And there's stages of grief, and they don't come in any particular order. You can be angry, you're sad, you're depressed, you're guilty. They come in all different orders.
Yes.
And I learned to allow myself to cycle through that as it comes and not fight it, and don't get stuck in one spot or another. Like if I'm feeling angry, then I allow myself to feel it. I'm sad, I allow myself to feel it. I mean, one morning I was, when they took the hospital bed out, that she had. I just laid her bedding on the floor. Everything's on the floor. It's still there. I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
But the dog lays on there because that gave him comfort because he could smell Mom. And then I go lay down with him and snuggle with my dog. That gives me comfort. That's what I've been doing. I would suggest if you don't need 500 people around you. Some people need more people. I don't. I'm a social loner. I'm adept at being by myself and entertaining myself.
Yes.
So that's what I'm doing. I've been binge watching all these great series on Netflix because for years I haven't been able to do that.
Yes.
So I'm doing that. I have some wonderful friends that are like sisters and brothers to me, and they call and check on me, and we talk. I have friends that come, hey, what are you doing? Let's go to the flea market, let's go to dinner, just things like that. So I'm just letting it, I'm not in a hurry to do anything, but I have this, it's a new lonely.
Yes.
I'm adept at dealing with being lonely because I grew up that way. But it's a new lonely, like that empty space is there.
Yes.
I'm blessed that I have my dog. I have 2 dogs. They comfort me, so I have to get up because I got to feed the dog and let the dog out. Now, I might not do anything else that day, but get up and feed the dog and make myself eat something, and I'm in my gown all day, but I'm okay.
Yeah.
That's
You know, and I
fine.
understand. I'm pretty much with you all, but the spouse are with me. Go ahead.
I would tell people, find the thing or the things, the activities or the people that give you the comfort and support that you need, and do not allow anybody else to tell you what you need to do, what kind of comfort you need or anything, because they don't know. They're not you. She's making baskets. I used to crochet. I haven't crocheted in a while, but that's been something that I've done, that creative something where you get submerged in that creative process, and now you have a finished product. And most of the time when I was making something, it wasn't to sell it. I'd make it to give it to people.
Give it
and
to
then
'em.
I had the same thing from friends. Girl, you need to sell those hats. Those are nice. You should be selling them. Well, you know, the whole thing about me trying to figure out how much to charge somebody for this thing, that wrecks the creative process for me. I'd rather just make it, and then if somebody wants to buy it, fine. If not, I give stuff away all the time.
Well, I like hats. But I'm just telling you, we are at the end of our show. But the thing is, and I wanted to share it, and that you're sharing, from a spousal standpoint, I understand, and a lot of things that I have not done, and I just left my own everything in place. And some say, only do it when you get ready. In fact, I've never been in my wife's wallet since her passing over a year. When that time come, I will. But that's what I was trying to get, and I understand what you were doing. And being a minister, I never turned down any assignments. They said, man, how can you keep on preaching? How can you? That's what God called me to do. And he gave me the strength to carry on.
Embrace it.
And what we do, and embrace, and in doing those things, I am blessed. Of course, we have those times, the moments, when you might sigh loud or say something loud. You might set something down a little hard when the thought hits you. There's nothing wrong with that. If that helps you to release your stress, go to the gym, going to get dancing, making your baskets. But the most important thing, it is not the end of your life. And we must realize it's a time, a stepping stone to revive and to move forward. It may not happen overnight, because everybody had a different relationship with their loved ones that they lost. And no one can tell you about your relationship. But I think you agree with me, we do have to work toward getting back on board at our own pace in our own time. Tell them what's in your heart to say to someone that may be going through what you have already been through in your post-relationship.
Well, I would just say that your circle of influences, your relationship with the Lord, your talk to God daily, embracing what you need to do, and stay with it, because you're the glue in your stew now that will make you better than where you were. You have an opportunity now to move forward, and if you can do that step by step, don't look at the mountain someone else placed before you. Look at the mountain that you've already climbed thus far, and don't look back. Just keep going. God will be with you. He knows you better than anybody. So just watch your circle of influence, your prayer partners, and move forward.
Praise God.
I would say, and I agree with everything that she said. I would say don't hold everything inside. Find some way to release it. If you have a good friend, a relative, somebody, a coworker, or even a professional to talk to express whatever your feelings are, and there are no right or wrong feelings. You feel what you feel. Embrace the feelings. You don't have to get stuck in it, but allow yourself to feel whatever it is. And find something, whatever it is, something that you just enjoy doing, and do it. And don't allow other people to dictate to you how you should be going through this process.
Amen.
Make sure you stay connected to God in whatever way you do it. And we all have our own personal relationship and our own ways of communicating with God. Me, I get up every morning, I listen to scriptures every morning. That starts my day, and that keeps that connection. And I pray. For me, the meaning of pray without ceasing means when you find yourself in a crisis situation, you're feeling sad and lonely and by yourself, I automatically start talking to God.
All right.
And I know that He hears me, and I know that He answers.
Amen.
So you find that comfortable place for you. And there are different agencies. Now, I'm not aware of any specific group or agency that takes care of the caregiver. Not aware of that. If there is one somewhere, please let us know. Because I would definitely refer people to that.
Yes.
That's very important. But you have to take care of yourself. Those of you that are in the midst of caregiving, make some time to take care of you. If you don't take care of you, you can't take care of them.
That's right.
So, even if it's only like 5 or 10 minutes a day, going somewhere and being quiet and centered with yourself, make some time. Like she went out driving.
Yes.
I went dancing for a couple hours a week. Find some space to take care of you so you recharge and refill, and you can keep going.
Yeah.
And it's very much a one day, one step at a time.
Yes. And that means love yourself. And the Word of God wants us to love ourselves, because He said what? Love your neighbor as yourself. So you need to know how to love yourself to love your neighbor. May God bless you. May heaven smile on you. Until the next time.